Hello and welcome to the Story Engine podcast. My name is Kyle Gray, and today on the show we have Alisa Cooper. Alisa is the founder of Cocoon to Butterfly, and it is a program, an experience, and a movement facilitating transformation from grief into joy. And we are going to be learning her special and unique story and helping empower her to advance this movement today on the show. So, without any further ado, let's hand it over to Alisa Cooper. Alisa Cooper, welcome to the Story Engine podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I am excited to showcase your story and to hear more about your story. I had the pleasure of meeting you in person in Utah a few weeks back, and it's a big honor to have you on the show. But my audience doesn't know you yet. So could you tell us a bit about who you are and how you're showing up in the world today?
Yeah, well, again, it was so beautiful to meet you as well. My name is Alisa Cooper, as you said, and I am the founder of Cocoon to Butterfly.
And tell us a bit about Cocoon to Butterfly.
So Cocoon to Butterfly is a movement that helps guide people by internally ascending. So we help the collective come home to themselves. So everything that we have is within our own being. And that's what Cocoon to Butterfly does, is it helps you understand that everything that you have is actually within you.
Can you describe to me what you see when you mean internally ascending, and how would somebody know that this means I am, or maybe I would like to be internally ascending?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it is my belief that we are consistently going through a cocoon to butterfly journey, which is in a visual term, it would be what you would call like an infinity sign, infinity sign. So it's there is no ending, no beginnings, and we're consistently having and constantly through this human experience having deaths and rebirths. And so when I say internally ascended, it's not really it's interesting to describe because I have like a before my life and now after, this new life that I began. So I'll frame it in a way of like before. What Cocoon to Butterfly would have meant is we are all trying to live the best version of our lives. Every day we show up and we are just trying to be a better version of who we were from the day before. However, and I'll talk to you a little bit about what happened. My husband passed away 3 years ago. Actually, it's almost his anniversary of death, which is interesting how this recording is coming in time. I don't feel like there's any coincidences of time. And so after his death, I learned a lot about internally ascending. And what this means is there's actually nothing wrong with us. We don't really need to be fixed. And we're very programmed, especially I believe in the United States, to really believe that there's something wrong with us. And every day, we should just try and be better and do better. And so after David's death and really my healing experience and my journey to come home to self, I realized we have dark and light within us. And so the internal ascension is actually learning how to alchemize the dark and the light. So Cocoon to Butterfly starts in the phase of grief. However, it could be any low frequency. It could be depression. It could be, if you're in a constant state of sadness or fear, those are all low frequencies that don't serve you as a whole. And so what Cocoon to Butterfly does is it helps you ascend and alchemize really those emotions into honoring them for what they are and what they bring to you, but ultimately to really come home to yourself.
I'm really curious about you kind of gave us a before and an after. One is we're all trying to live the best version of our lives. And then the main thing is there's nothing necessarily wrong with us and like a radical self-acceptance. Can you pinpoint the real, what's the big difference here, and why are these two definitions, why is it so important that you have delineated these two?
Yeah. First of all, I love your questions. I've been on so many podcasts and they're just always kind of like cookie cutter. So I just want to give you kudos for that. I love the question. I love the depth of it, the meat
Thank
of
you.
it. Yeah, you're welcome. I in a nutshell, or like if I kind of like narrow it so it's a little bit not so long, um, we're designed, we're taught through what I call programming, but basically like it's not bad, it's not negative, it's just how life hits us, that we're constantly or consistently should be fixed. Like we should always be working on ourselves. We should always, just try and be a little bit better, or a little bit, um, uh, you know, um, finish faster, just the gamifying of life in the way of like being number one, and even if you're just competing against yourself. Uh,
Hmm.
the the transition that I made after the death of David and the awakening that I had is that there is nothing to actually fix. We are who we are, and when we meet who we are and actually recognize it, accept it, feel into who we are, we then alchemize the dark and the light together, and that makes us ascend. And the ascension isn't like, in the sense of you're going higher and higher and becoming better and better. It's actually like you become your true authentic self, and that's the internal ascension. It's you arrive at your authentic self, and people can feel that.
Absolutely. Um, I relate a lot to what you've been laying out, and actually, very recently, have had a very personal experience in the kind of the idea that we always should be working on ourselves. And looking back, as a result of a couple of things, I've had a lot of like health journeys that I've worked on, and a lot of personal growth. And I've been an entrepreneur for 10 years. So there's been some like tough things. And I've found myself particularly like falling into this pattern in some stretches in the last few years of very much feeling like I need to improve on myself. I need to fix things. And this is also, it's similar to like, if I don't do this, I'm going to fail. And I would approach my business and my day to day with a kind of baseline anxiety, and it would impact all of the decisions that I was making. And it impacted a lot of my personal relationships as well, because I would end the day very tired, even though I wasn't as productive. And I just see the real cost of what you're describing here. It's like trying to drive a car with the gas and the brakes on at the same time.
Yes.
I can like see this, and this has been something that I've been practicing and leaning into, thanks to our mutual friend Alexander Ford. Of instead of approaching my days with what I think I need to do or should be doing to get a result, um, leaning in and cultivating my desire, and like instead of trying to do the thing, focus on wanting what I want to do and wanting to do the right things. And there's a very different energy to it. A lot of my outside behavior hasn't changed very much, but it's the energy within it. And so just all to say that, yeah, this hits really personally and can apply to many different people. This can show up in our lives in all kinds of ways. Um, so I relate, and I'm curious about you. You run this process over the course of an event, and can you describe kind of how you do what you do, and maybe what's unique about the process you guide people through?
Yeah, it's an amazing experience to have had it actually happen just a few months ago. Was our first live event. So I can share with you that, not in like, okay, this is what's supposed to happen. We actually did run a live event. So we help everyone in the room meet themselves where they're at first. So, just recognizing like where are you at? No judgment. It's almost like we want to frame them in a place of when you were a child, when literally you were so curious. So you're asking yourself all these questions from a frame of like, I can't wait to get to know you better. I can't wait to get to know you, what makes you happy, what brings you joy, what makes you tick. So we start there. And that's the first stage of Cocoon to Butterfly. So we go through 9 full stages within 2 days. And what I believe separates us from most events. Now, there are some great events out there that are really working and have been before Cocoon to Butterfly. So it's not like something brand new. I think it has a different like spin or approach on it than most. But I, I had this dream of a dream, and that's how the live event came. And so in the dream of the dream, it was there'll be 12 speakers. So 9 are each going to take ownership of one of the 9 stages. And then 3 spots will be for brand new people who literally have found that their want, their purpose is to speak on stage and changed what I call raise the vibration of consciousness through speaking. And so that I believe is a pretty different way to run an event, because most events don't want a brand new speaker on their stage. And that's why it's hard to break into speaking, because who wants to take that risk? And Cocoon to Butterfly actually opens up an environment where not only those 3 new speakers to speaking show up, but the 9 other ones that have movements on their own. This isn't in competition. This is actually for raising all of us. Like, what is the saying? All tides raise. What is that saying?
All ships. Yeah.
Yeah.
High tide raises all ships.
All ships. Yeah. So it's like we all go together. We are all supporting each other because the purpose is to raise consciousness. And so each one of them, the 9 speakers in particular, take each of the stages, and then they actually teach a modality on stage. And so it's not just like journaling and, meditating. We're actually physically doing, we did breath work, we did sound bowl healing, tapping. And then we get a little bit more advanced in the second day for those that maybe are ascending like immediately. There's some work on channeling, because we all have these gifts within us. And the dream of the dream of this live event was to expose all of these gifts that each one of us might have more we're more focused on. And so it really resonates in our soul. So like for me, I had never actually officially done breath work or sound bowl healing. And I was like, the sound bowl was so beautiful. And I had to open my eyes because the girl that was there, I thought she was like recording, like it was a recording, but it really was out of her mouth as she was doing this beautiful sound bowl. So I feel like that is what makes this event a little bit different, is the teamwork mentality of it, because I do come from being an entrepreneur my entire life. I'm 54. I've owned a business since I was 19 years old. And multiple businesses most of my life. So the entrepreneur of like, we're all going to help each other succeed in our own, I call them movements now, or your missions. But ultimately, we live in a 3D world. We're doing business. And so that was really important. And then leaving the event with everyone that came to it, because we've all been to events where we get excited, but then life hits us and we're like, wow, nothing is actually permanently changed, or at least changed the trajectory of my life to like have some pivoting. So by them learning the modalities in real time at the event, they can then utilize them when they are having challenge or struggle or strife. They're like, oh, that breath work really brought me back in and really calm my nervous system. So you can get that on YouTube for free. It's like all of these modalities are actually offered for free in the world. And so while you might be drawn to this one speaker, and yes, you might want to do work with that person, ultimately every one of them are showing up to help the humanity. And yes, we live in a world where monetary means have to be exchanged, but none of them are showing up to sell their stuff. They're literally just sharing their gifts and then giving options of free, or, it's very subtle at the event. I leave QR codes in the back for all the speakers, so they can go to the back of the room and actually QR code that speaker if they really felt, wow, this person really resonated. I want to learn more about them or work with them. So I feel like those are the separators of the event.
Beautiful. Um, I'd love to go into like who's a perfect person for this, and specifically, like what do you think the top three problems that somebody who's perfect for this event is experiencing right now?
Well, the first one that comes to mind is, what I experienced. So grief, a death of a parent, of a spouse, of a child. I mean, we all experience grief of losing a loved one or a loved one that ascends out of their body. However, when they're of that impact, I was not equipped to understand how to deal with that. I'll just come from my very transparent. I felt like, I mean, I was pretty much a badass at anything that I put my mind to, and this one, no way. I had no capabilities of understanding the magnitude of what I was going to do moving forward without my husband. We talked about it a lot, we were never, afraid of talking about death, but we both assumed it would be in our 80s. He died when he was 52. I was 51. So very young. So somebody that is experiencing grief in such a way that you're noosed or you're shackled and you just cannot see the light at the end of the tunnel. Somebody that, very similar to me, like had their dream life. I lost Kyle. Hopefully he comes back on.
Okay.
That was so funny.
Oh man. I
was like, did his computer get unplugged? Or I was like, oh,
yeah, it was
I'm
just
now the host.
too much truth. Okay.
That's
So I think our best move, we can start recording again and I'll ask the question again of like, tell me who an ideal client would be for this event and we can splice it together from there.
okay.
All right. 40.